Well, hello everybody, Newbornkilik here, welcoming you back to another awesome Zelda Theory. Now today, we have a special theory brought to you by a user by the name of PerBeat213. Now, he brings up the idea that maybe there are some potential ties between Agitha, the self-proclaimed Princess of the Bug Kingdom, and Jovani, the man overwhelmed by greed, with his soul ripped from his body and split into fragments, while his body is unconscious and remains solidified as gold. Wow. That's actually pretty dark. But yes, of course all of these events do take place in Twilight Princess, so we're gonna have ourselves a Twilight Princess theory. So sorry if you were expecting an Ocarina of Time theory like every other theory, but I figured we'd branch off of the path for just a little bit. Take a look at Twilight Princess. I suppose this theory will be a bit more of a discussion, as I'm kind of hoping there is something that'll tie these two together, because to be completely honest, it's a little bit rough, and initially I wasn't going to make this video at all, but I just kind of wanted to throw out some speculation and kind of get some feedback on what you all think about it. But yes, today we will be covering the man cast in gold, a cat that never deserved to be cast in said gold, and a little girl willing to let another human suffer through hunger and curse to fulfill her strange bug fetish. Seriously, Agitha is way too into bugs, like more than just like a child should be. But that's beside the point. Let's get right into this. So first we need to cover what we know about these two. Let's start with Jovani. He's definitely the less interesting between Agitha and Jovani. So let's start with Jovani. Jovani is involved with a side quest in Twilight Princess that will reward Link with a surplus of money should he find the time to complete said quest. Of course, I am talking about the quest where you go out and find the Poe souls and then return them to Jovani, and he is eventually returned to his former glory. According to the Prima Strategy Guide, which isn't the best source in the world, but it says that he's around 40 years old. He has a cat named Gangle. For some reason, this cat is stuck on his head whenever he's frozen solid, so I guess the cat just likes to hang out on his head. Maybe he was like teleported there for some reason. There was some circumstance that made it so that this cat was frozen on his head in gold, but that's beside the point. Something to note about Gangle himself is that he is actually uncursed much earlier than Jovani himself. Maybe this is because he didn't actually deserve the curse as much. He may have just been in contact with Jovani at the time. Again, this would explain why Gangle was for some reason frozen to Jovani's head. Not really sure what the cat was doing up there anyway, but it's goddamn cute if we're being totally honest. And fun fact, Gangle holds cat meetings outside of his house, which he's the leader of. I love the fact that there are cat meetings going on anywhere in town. Another kind of interesting thing about Jovani is that he has a path that extends out of a treasure chest that leads directly into the underground waterway that's, for some reason, in his house. Now, by extension, this actually gives him access to Hyrule Castle. Why does this exist exactly? I have no idea. But anyway, Jovani also had himself a girlfriend which apparently left him for a town guard. Now, this is actually a pretty important fact. This could actually hint that maybe this curse has been going on for quite some time. Think about it. His girlfriend has already completely abandoned him, given up on him, and just moved on. It kind of helps us to put a time frame on Jovani's curse. But honestly, that's basically it for Jovani. He's pretty forgettable. Honestly, I think his cat is better than he is, but that's just my opinion, of course. He is important to actually making it into Castletown, as it's one of the routes that you take to get back into Castletown, but overall kind of unremarkable and really just a vessel for that side quest. Now, Agitha, on the other hand, is much more interesting. She's only about 10 years old according to the wiki, but she is the self-proclaimed Princess of the Bug Kingdom, and she collects quote-unquote golden bugs. Now, the fact that she's collecting golden bugs may be important a little bit later on, but we'll get back to that. If you take a look at Agitha, at first she seems okay, you know, she's obviously dressed very well in kind of like gothic style clothing, which is a little bit uncommon even for this time. Her style is a little bit different than everyone else's, but above that, something just really seems off about this little girl. And she has this kind of really almost creepy relation to bugs in some ways, and this goes above kind of the normal like fun kid stuff that you'd expect from a child. So here I'd just like to show you my 3 favorite Agitha sayings, and I think you'll kind of get what I mean after you hear these 3 sayings. allow me to put on my poetry voice as I recite to you this amazing dialogue. Little ant, I might mistake you for a grain and put you in my cereal. That's a really big grain to put in your cereal. But moving along, that's not the weird one. I just like that one because it's kind of innocent but a little bit weird. And like it's kind of teetering on the edge of, okay, maybe she's just not that smart. But moving on to the next one, we have a snail. Little snail, just once. I'd like to take a bath in that slime. Excuse me, what? That's the opposite of a bath. You can take an anti-bath in that slime. That's something that you can do. I have good news for you. You can just get a bunch of snails and let them crawl all over you, I guess, if that's really what you want. But hey, just saying, that's a little bit strange, but hey, no shaming here. Then we have the coup de grace, the part 3, the final act of Agitha's craziness, the stag beetle. Little stag beetle, your spiky pinchers are so sharp, they must feel so good. There's no way to make this innocent. There are 2 ways that this can go. Either it's some weird stuff, or it's like some really emo stuff. Either way, it's strange, okay? It's out of the ordinary. Why? They're sharp. Why would they feel good? So this third one actually might give us a bit of insight into her mental state as a person. So some of you know, when people are unhappy with themselves, they may do certain things to themselves that people don't exactly see as savory. It's not exactly great. It's not exactly a healthy coping mechanism. But I'm just saying, they're so sharp, they must feel so good. How do you not make that logical leap? I don't see any other reason why they would feel good other than maybe in the form of like acupuncture, but then just use acupuncture needles. Like there's needles for that. But that's beside the point. So this kind of gives us a nice look into Agitha's mental state and lets us know that there might actually be some stuff a little bit wrong there, honestly, even for a 10-year-old little girl. Which leads nicely into the next fact that she's usually found in her house. Now there's a giant tree in the middle of this house, which is really a pretty cool thing, honestly. It gives a place for her bugs to live. If she's really into bugs that much, it makes sense that she'd have a place for them to live. But there are reports of her shopping in the market before her quest is available. Now this means that she has money somewhere. She has rupees to spend. She's spending money on something. She's obviously feeding herself. She's not pale. She's not all skin and bones. Her face isn't like a skeleton. She has like earrings and stuff. It's very clear all these clothes were tailor-made specifically for her. Even the umbrella. Her umbrella literally fits perfectly around her pigtails. That's not a coincidence. So now we finally get to move into the theory, so I guess you can see this video as a bit of fun learning experience with one-part theory, but I wanted to give you all of that information because I'm actually going to ask for a lot of your opinions below, what you think of Agitha and Jovani's relation, if there is a relation at all. But yes, I believe that there are some circumstantial evidences that may support the idea that Agitha is either part of the royal family and highly delusional, as we actually covered in my top 10 Zelda theories that everyone should know. It was one of the more common ones back in the day that we thought Agitha was part of the royal family, maybe a relation to Zelda of some kind, but just crazy, just like insane, like actually insane, to the point where she wasn't allowed in the castle, but they still wanted her to live well, so they still support her and just give her her area to exist in on her own, basically. And then we have PerBear's idea, which is that she is secretly living off of the Golden Man, letting him suffer so that she can send out invitations to parties all day long. Now, PerBear had made mention that maybe it's the daughter of the Golden Man, but I would think that Jovani would actually mention her at some point. He only actually mentions his girlfriend throughout all of the dialogue options that you see with him, even after you free him. You would think at some point that Jovani would have mentioned Agitha, were they related. But this would explain how she would be able to support herself and even give her a reason to not mention Jovani's struggle. Because this would eventually remove her lifeline if someone found out and ended up helping Jovani. No Golden Man, no money. And of course there's the obvious, she doesn't really seem to have any parental figures. I guess you don't have to have a parent, but it's obvious that parents exist in the Hyrule Kingdom, so what happened to hers? So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Agitha's mental state and kind of what's going on in that head of hers? So she seems outright surprised that Link would actually help her to find the bugs, meaning that she's probably been turned down before, or at the very least is very disjointed towards the other Hylians. Now this could be, maybe she just doesn't have very good parents, maybe that's why they're not here, maybe they're part of the royal family and don't really like her that much, so that kind of supports that idea. Or maybe it's because she watched someone turn into gold before her very eyes. And if she didn't actually watch Jovani turn to gold right before her eyes, it could be that during one of her bug expeditions to find some bugs, she happened upon Jovani's house, found her way in, because it's kind of assumed that at some point Jovani's house would not be locked up, as we do see it is now. We have to actually dig in as Wolf Link. So she probably saw some cats out front, was like, hey, these are cute. You know, I wonder if maybe the person inside owns one of these cats. Let's return him in nice, innocent childhood. Hey, is this door open? Because apparently just opening doors in Hyrule is commonplace, at least for the hero of time. If your name is Link, you can open up any door, but maybe that's just a thing. Maybe people just walk in. So it's at this point she sees Jovani. Jovani would plead with Agitha, asking for help. Now Agitha is no fool. Agitha sees all the richness surrounding her, all of this mountain of gold, crowns, gems. It's so beautiful, almost like the golden bugs that she idolizes so much herself. Just saying, a little bit of a coincidence there. I would not put it above Agitha to lock Jovani inside of his own house while she herself is in fact feeding off of all of this free money that she just happened to stumble upon one day. I mean, think about it. Why in the world would Jovani's girlfriend not be able to find Jovani when he's in his own house? It's very clear that at some point somebody sealed it up. So the girlfriend couldn't get in. Maybe she's a law-abiding citizen, doesn't want to just break down the door. So at that point, what are you gonna do? Eventually, after making Jovani suffer for so much, she has built up a wall, eventually seeing other Hylians, or at least adults, as mere tools towards her happiness. Now honestly, I tend to lean more towards the fact that Agitha just found Jovani frozen in his house one day, because this kind of clears up the idea of why would Agitha not be cursed as well? Well, it seems more like maybe she found him at a later date. So after the deed had been done, the Poes were all gone, he was already cursed. If she were there during that, especially with the fact that Gangle was cursed as well, which seems to be of some sort of on contact kind of thing, even though he didn't deserve it, it seems reasonable that Agitha would have been cursed if she were there at the time of cursing as well. So I actually had a couple other lines that I wanted to go over. The potential uses for gold in Hyrule, however, they didn't really seem to add that much to the video, and to be honest, this video has gone on long enough. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Anyway, I do hope that you did enjoy it. Thank you so much, PerBeat, for the idea. This is a fun one to look into, and of course, it did end up a lot of speculation, but sometimes those are the most fun videos to make. Please let me know if you have any ideas, comments, or concerns about this theory. Especially if you have anything that would directly tie these two together, that would be really awesome. I would actually like to make a follow-up video with some of your different ideas. Of course, you will be featured as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you did end up enjoying the video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy, schmancy stuff that all the YouTubers are always asking you to do. It really does help us out. So, show some support to the channel. We do really appreciate it. Anyway, I'm Newbornkilik, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out.